Welcome back to the Make Some Noise podcast, season 2, episode 11.
Funny in a way that I like the delivery didn't sell this as much as it should have, but they were like, yeah, he might sell you on Facebook Marketplace. It's probably what happened to his ex, who we never heard from again.
Yeah, it was very weird. They wouldn't stop making jokes about how he sold his ex on Facebook Marketplace. And I'm like, who is this fucking guy?
And I was like, there's a way to deliver that would have made me cackle, because they're like, oh, he's always on Facebook Marketplace. He's always scrolling on Facebook Marketplace.
I feel like it should have either been a build-up to that punchline, or should have just been referenced once and then never
because
again.
I think he started with that, and then later they're like, he's always on Facebook Marketplace, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Blah.
But it's also just like, are you a human trafficker? Like, what are you doing?
And then it ended by being like, yeah, if you want to contact him, like, you can scan the QR code or you can just look on Facebook Marketplace. And I was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Good callback. And
I'm going to say about this particular one that I feel like this was more of a roast than it was a pitch.
Yes.
Like, this particular one, she was very...
Take 2. You'll find out what the context for that is later. Coming up on today's podcast, we're going to be going over Love Island, followed by Silly Hour, and we're closing up with a very, very quick StudioCon recap. Stay tuned. Welcome back to another Love Island UNSW edition recap.
Woohoo!
yippee.
All right. With me in the studio, as always, for our now traditional Love Island recaps, Max
Hey.
and Diya.
Yippee.
Diya's really big on the yippies
I'm
today.
very, I gave a presentation at like SRC induction day or whatever, and then afterwards I started banging my head against the wall because I was like, I said yippee 50 fucking times. They think I'm a weirdo. And so then I had to condition it out of my like pattern of speech, because I was like, everyone thinks I'm a weirdo because I say yippee so much.
Well,
And
I
then
love that
it's
you
back.
think that SRC could ever not think you're a weirdo.
That is
half
true.
of them know you well, and the other half know you have learned enough about you to be like, yep, that's a weirdo.
Oh my god, I have a complete tangent, but I like terrorizing people from other factions, like off the clock, like not in president mode, just in civilian mode. And one time, one of the factions had like a board being like, who's the most misogynistic, like Trump or Elon or whatever, and I just went, I think like I think Andrew Tate is progressive enough to sex traffic a femboy. And then I just left.
That's insane.
And so because of that, I think that now they like look so freaked out that I was like, yeah.
That is an insane fucking thing to say.
What a side quest to the story. This isn't even Silly Hour.
Well, speaking of femboys, it's Silly Hour time.
No, it's not. It's not.
No, it's not Silly Hour time, it's Love Island time.
Alright, some context on the whole fanboy thing then?
There was absolutely no.
There were no
context.
femboys. I just thought that was funny.
Oh, okay. I can actually
femboys.
start us off with like an introduction to Love Island's time. This was
Sure.
a Pitch Your Pals, so similar to when our in-house member of the team, Big Bill, was pitched. It was just people having like a friend pitch them through a slideshow being like, this is why you should date my friend. Except it was specifically queer edition, so specifically people like, queer people who wanted to be pitched. And so because of that, I think every single person who was pitched can be separated into 2 categories, which were lesbians that are scared of women. Like, most of them were just lesbians that are scared of women.
I mean, I feel like that's also just a massive demographic on its own. That's like 80% of lesbians.
And, like, gay guys whose, like, friends were, like, you need a relationship. You need to you need to settle down and lock in.
All of the gay guys wouldn't stop talking about, like, the people that were pitching them wouldn't stop talking about how the guy was, like, a bit of a slut and wanted cock.
Yeah, so that's why it was
whereas
like
the lesbians, it was like, oh, she's so lovely and sweet and she's scared of women and she just really wants a pal. And it was, like, a very weird dynamic between the two sets of people that were being pitched.
It felt like the men were gonna, like, end up on Too Hot to Handle.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, he's a party animal. Oh, also, every single person, like, even the, like, chill lesbians that are scared of women, so much alcohol got brought up in every single
very true.
person's
Everyone's an
presentation.
alcoholic,
Everyone's
I
an
fear.
alcoholic these days, hey. But yeah, so basically,
There were
Queer
also
Love
some
Island.
other drinks. Matcha was mentioned a few times.
True.
I'd assume so, yeah.
I also will say, only, like, one person, I think, brought up, like, this is exactly what the person is looking for. Like, like, be a masked lesbian. And I'm like, great. Whereas everyone else is like, she's nice and she wants somebody caring and blah, 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 blah.
But it's like, surely you have a type beyond just a nice, caring person. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like most lesbians are pretty particular in what
That's
they're looking
exactly
for,
what I
which
was
is
gonna say.
perfectly fine, but you have to be like very open to the fact that this is what you're looking for so that you don't end up with people that you don't want in your DMs.
100%. Yeah, you
Like, just
never
be
want to
honest,
settle.
people.
You never want to settle.
I was also going to say, like, I feel like having, like, this is what I'm looking for, as specific as possible really helps ensure that you're just getting people who, like, are more compatible with you. Like, for example, when I pitched Billy, I was like, you need to understand politics and political humor. And that's, like, something that not every, like, you can't
Or
just be
be
like,
willing
I
to
want
have
somebody
it explained
kind.
to you in detail.
Yes, but I'm just saying, like, I want somebody kind and, like, you know, nice and
Because, like,
funny.
everyone thinks they're kind and nice and funny. Not
Yeah.
everyone is kind, nice, and funny, nor the person you're looking for, frankly.
So true. Anyway, shall we get into the contestants?
Yes.
I think.
Please fill me in. I was not there.
Well,
dear audience.
okay, because you were not there, I guess we'll speed run through all of them. There is 7, but I'm gonna keep it as brief as possible, unless it's interesting, because the worst ones were not bad because they were awkward, which is my favorite type of Love Island, which is when they're bad because they're awkward. They were just bad because they were boring and unfunny sometimes.
I
Right.
feel like the issue is that especially some of, like, a lot of the guys got up there without a script, and the person that was pitching them got up there without a script and kind of just, like, went with whatever they thought about and hadn't really, like, put a huge amount of effort into really crafting their performance. And so it became awkward, not funny. Like, I know one guy got up there and said, I actually wrote a script, but I'm not going to go off it. And he kept on making references to jokes he'd made in the script, but it wasn't funny because
Nobody
he just
else
said,
in the
"Oh, I wrote a
script.
joke about the Book of Mormon, and it was in my script, but blah blah blah." And I was like, "Well, this
That's
isn't
the
funny
worst-
because
that's the
you're not
worst way
even
to do a
telling us your
callback.
script." Like, it made no sense. It was like, "What are we doing here? I'm confused."
And also, I don't like scripts for presentations. I think that they, like, often, like, when somebody's reading from a script, you can tell they're reading from a script. But, like, practice it. Sell your friend for me. Like,
Yeah, no,
practice it in the
I
mirror.
don't think there's anything wrong with having some dot points or having,
Yeah,
like, a bit of a
definitely.
way you want to speak about something. But I feel like getting up there and going, "I wrote a script and I'm not going to use it, but I'm actually going to make callbacks to the script," is the most boring and unfunny thing you could possibly do. He just wasn't very funny. And I'm sure if he had used the script, he would have been funnier, which is why I was like, you should have used the fucking script.
Okay,
No
100%.
hate to this guy, it just, like, was weird.
The first person was, surprise, a lesbian scared woman, who was pitched. Her name was Claire, and she was pitched by her friend Andrew. I think the reason I started taking notes is because I just, like, I need to make a note. I like the pitcher's voice. He had a very nice, soothing voice. And so I was like, ooh, okay, we're in for, like, an audiobook night, you know.
I will say, just calling back quickly to one thing that you said as well, I think only 2 people actually let us know what the sexuality of the person who
That
was
is
on
so
stage
true.
was.
Right.
And the really big problem with that is that it's like, are you bisexual? Are you lesbian? Are you
Yeah.
gay? Where do we fit in this?
Yes.
And so the thing
Yeah.
is that I feel like a lot of the audience would have been like, I don't know whether I'm the right person to say yes to you or to scan your QR code and, like, swipe up in instance. Because, like, I don't know where you sit on that spectrum, and so I don't know whether I'm the person for you because I don't even know if I fit into your interests. And so I feel like a lot of people should have been more open about what the sexuality of the person on stage was.
Also-
I completely understand if they didn't want their sexuality expressed to people, but it also, you're going on a queer edition. I feel like most people are pretty open about that if you're going on the
it's a
queer edition of Love
a dating
Island.
show.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's the one time you actually have to be forthright about it.
Whereas, like, at least for one of them, like, it said on the screen that she was bisexual, and I know, like, one of the other guys was, like,
Bisexual.
quite evidently gay as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, because a few people, I would say, like, 3 or 4 people were, like, a bit better at implying it, but they, like, one had, like, the MLM flag, like,
yeah,
the gay flag.
yeah, exactly.
Et cetera, et cetera. I was going to say,
Multi-level marketing?
yeah, absolutely. No, I was going to say, if I say somebody's a lesbian, scared of women, they might be bisexual, but, like, we know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No bi-erasure in this house.
Yeah, very true.
Anyways, I will say my 2 things to know about Claire pitched by Andrew is, one, I like the fact that he explicitly mentioned that she's an iPad kid because same, but also, like, that's the kind of thing that, like, you know, you can tell so much about somebody based on the fact that they're an iPad kid.
100%.
No, actually, 2 things in conjunction was like, okay, I understand, like, I get a full picture of this person, which is that they're an iPad kid, but they're in bed by 9 p.m. every day.
How does that work?
Like they're not, like, a stay up all night brain rot, but they're, like,
Frankly, that's me.
yeah. Actually, no, you are very similar to this person the more I think about it.
Oh.
And then the second thing that I would like to mention about this that I wrote down and I was like, yeah, was that they were in a group chat called Sonic Mpreg. They had screenshots of.
And it was like Daddy Alpha Wolf or something.
Dom Daddy
Alpha Wolf.
Who's nickname?
Who was the nickname of someone who sent in a review of this girl.
Amazing.
And instantly, I was like, yeah, like we could be friends. Like that's the
100%.
kind of humor.
That's the kind of
I
bullshit that we get
have.
down with.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of thing that we would do. So that's that. I'm actually gonna skip the next one to come back to it. Then we have this guy called Josh, who was pitched by his friend, who I did not write the name of. Also, for anyone listening to this who will end up on UNSW Love Island at some point for any reason whatsoever, like if you're doing research, please mention the name of the pitcher so that I can also have takes about the pitcher instead of just vaguely saying the pitcher. But she seemed lovely. I will say three things about this. Number one, they said that he's 22, brackets unk status. As somebody who's 22, guys, I do not have unk status yet.
Yeah, we reserve unk status for Zane.
Yeah.
Secondly, actually, look, this was the first one where I was like, oh my god, there's so much alcohol. And then I wrote down, like, oh my god, I should set him up with my friend who's an alcoholic.
I like screamed when I saw what Dia was writing down because of who this specific friend is. It made me just cackle.
But where I'm going with this is I was like, oh my god, like alcoholic. And then like every other fucking presentation was like, they love drinking, they love a night out. Look at all these photos of them drunk. And
I feel like that particular person was the only one that. Wait, I did not mean to say his name. Blink that out. The only person that this particular person could get down with.
Actually true.
Like the other alcoholics were probably lesbians, and so that wouldn't work for him.
The other thing is that I thought was
she was very intent on the fact that she wanted to like kind of roast this guy, but also maybe get him a girlfriend, whereas it was very, very clear that like that was not the intent. Like that's not the intention of the night, but I feel like that's what it became.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think most of the other groups like did that particularly, but I think that was kind of her intention more so. Who's next?
Next I have Lachlan. Who I said, he's 18, girl, go find a baddie in daycare or something. I also want to know, this is the one where the famous slide that says save a turkey, stuff a twink comes from.
They put a bunch of like almost pornographic memes on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, alright, fair enough.
This is why I referenced femboys, because it was like kind of clear he was into femboys, which good on him.
Yeah, we love femboys in this house.
We do.
Well, it was also like, this was one of those presentations where it's like, you would pitch this to the Too Hot to Handle producers to be like, you know, we just need him to find somebody to lock him down and get him on the straight and narrow, because right now, you know, he's too much of a 365 party girl. And I said we have the same music taste, brackets not a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of like, you know,
he just seems like a
music.
very sweet kid who just like is clearly quite young, which
but also
like
like
is
he's
fine.
18, let him party. That's always my issue with Too Hot to Handle, that they're like 22 being like, yeah, I'm just like, I just have too much fun and party too much and can't commit.
It's like you're 22,
like, yeah,
you're allowed to be.
Okay, I'm gonna circle back to the earlier one that's longer. Oh, actually, yeah. So this guy called Harry. There's a lot to say about Harry. From all of us have
There are many
different
things
like
to
things
say
where we're
about
like, oh my god, and this. But to put it forward, to like put a picture of him, is that like he likes Warhammer and Dungeons and Dragons and books and science and engineering and board games and all that kind of stuff. But he also is really, really athletic and like goes for like
does marathons.
Oh, okay,
Like,
so we're talking
does
like David
marathons.
Corn Sweat, like Henry Cavill sort of situation.
I don't know much about either of them, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Hot nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting double thumbs up from Marcus. So.
But like very,
Resident
very
hot
athletic person. What I will say, one of my favorite things about this particular picture was that the picture was like very charismatic, very audience focused. It worked really
Oh, it
well.
was
He was
amazing.
very, very funny. It was
I
a
said
really
this
good
was the
pitch.
best pitch I've seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also you can tell that they genuinely are very good friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, sometimes
it seems
it's
like they
just
had
like-
a really nice relationship.
Well, sometimes it's like, you know, you're in a friend group and then you're like, oh, I need to pitch somebody in my friend group. Whereas it's clear that those two are like best
Yeah,
friends.
close. It was very sweet.
Yeah. What else was I gonna say? Yeah, best presentation, cock chair reference, shout out. Anytime the cock chair is referenced, I'm like, yeah, those
Hell
are my
yeah.
people.
Go the cock chair.
Shout out cocks.
Are we sure that Cox would want a shout out? Is that kind of a thing?
What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, also this is gonna mean absolutely nothing to absolutely no one, but I'm still gonna mention it for the one person maybe who's sitting across from me that cares about this, which is that they reminded me of the main characters of Peep Show so much, and then at the end, at some point they mentioned they were roommates. I was like, they're roommates. That's the whole point of the show. Oh my god, they are literally those two.
We have to tell a very important story about
right.
this particular guy, which is that at Love
Yes, we
Island, we got given a full box of condoms, 20 whole condoms.
What?
Yeah.
The production value has gone up so far.
Well, actually, no. We were talking to people behind the scenes about this, and they were just like, "Oh no, like we're sponsored by the condoms. They want us to give them out as
so the
advertising."
Lifestyles people have started
God.
sponsoring the event, and so they gave out a box of 20 condoms to every person, but they also gave out like a gel massage roller.
It's like heating.
Wow.
It's like a heated gel thing.
Yeah.
And
For
one of
foreplay.
our mates saw
Oh, is that what that's for?
Yeah.
Honestly, I would have just liked to have taken it myself just for a massage.
Well, here's the thing. So this guy, Harry, who's a runner, brought, like, one of our friends watched him carry 8 of them out of the roundhouse. And she asked him, like, oh, did you score well today or whatever? Being like, oh, I'm going to take those home and use them with some guys. And he was like, no, they're really good for running. Like, for massaging yourself
Fair
after
enough.
you run. So he took them home. Which is so funny.
Yeah. I also want to say, I also just loved how this ended, which is they always ask the person a question, like the host asks the person being pitched a question, because you don't hear from them the entire presentation, you just hear about them. And so they were like, oh, how would you slide into someone's DM? And he was really struggling. He's like, oh, you know. And then so his friend butts in and he's like, it's because everyone messages him first because he's that much of a catch. And it's like, that's a good friend. Shout
That's
out.
Yeah,
a
very true.
fantastic save.
And then they were like, okay, but like if you had to, and he's like, I don't know, like, how's your day going? And I was like,
Bottom behavior.
He's so sweet. He's so ookies. Shout out. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, we can move on. I might skip past some of these because they're a bit.
Boring.
I mean, there's nothing to say. Like, you know, she's pretty, she's nice, the presenter was nice, blah 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 blah. Okay. Let's talk about the grinder themed presentation.
Ah, yes. There was a grinder.
There was a
themed
grinder
presentation.
themed presentation.
My favorite fun fact about this is while they were walking off the stage, the picture goes, "We actually met on Grindr."
Oh, okay. I think
Like
I
the
remember.
guy that was pitching him
Yeah.
met the other guy on Grindr, which is insane.
Yeah.
That's
Like, imagine being like, we met on Grindr, became
That's cooked.
friends, first of all. I don't know how you managed to do that from Grindr.
Right.
And then goes, actually, I'm going to pitch you on Love Island to other guys. His presentation was quite
So
saucy, I
strange.
will say.
This was also the one that you said he didn't go off a script, and so that's why. It
No,
wasn't
he
funny.
did not go off a script.
Yeah.
He didn't go off the script that he had written and then made the callback jokes to it. That was that guy.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. Look, it could have been better, I feel. I think the problem was that he thought he was being quite funny and it wasn't just quite translating on stage, which again isn't his fault. I feel like that's a lot of stage fright as well, like coming back to that.
for sure.
But it needed a little bit of refinement, I would say, is kind of my take there.
Okay. The next one is surprise, surprise, a lesbian scared of women. Ooh, who could have seen this coming? I liked the girl being pitched in terms of like she seemed like a complete person, because sometimes it's just like,
Right.
she's fun, she's cool, she likes existing in things, whereas I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I can tell
The
who this
one-dimensional.
kind of person is after watching it, and she like makes her own matcha and has like a collection of different milks to make
Oh,
matcha
damn.
with. And I was like, okay, I know the kind of girl you are. You're going to be a great grandmother to no grandkids, mayhaps. and she has a crusty little white dog that the presenter admits is kind of fugly. But the reason I'm bringing this up is for two reasons. One, I can't remember what game it was, and I've never heard of the game. But they're like, oh, she's really into this game. And I was like, it's bad, because we were sitting with Billy watching this, where Billy made a face like, ugh. And I was like, wow.
If Billy is making a face.
If Billy thinks
Yikes.
that game attracts a certain kind of person.
I'm gonna speak to Billy about this afterwards.
And secondly, the reason I like this one is because at some point, they were like posting reviews of her or whatever, which is now like a staple of UNSW Love Island, getting all your friends to like review you.
For sure.
And then she's like, oh, also this is her friends, not her hoes. I promise she's not ran through. And I was like, that's so funny.
Insane thing to say, frankly.
I mean, I feel like in a way it would have been a little bit more convincing had it been her host, because it's like, it's
Like
it's
market
not biased.
research
Yeah, it's
kind of.
market research.
Yeah.
It's a customer reviewed.
Yeah.
And then the last two are lesbian scared of women. Max pointed out at some point, like, one of these, I would argue both of these people are very much like, if you Google lesbian, this is what you'll get. Like, they are the most, like
very default lesbians.
Yeah.
birdcage lesbians.
Yeah. And they
Gotcha.
did mention birdcage many times.
Both of them, yeah. And I also got them both confused in my brain, because one of them had mentioned that they're in a society my friend's in. And I was like, oh, they look like this. And I'm like, wait, no, it's the other one. Because they were both of their presentations, like, centered being birdcage lesbians. But I will give them credit. This was the one where they explicitly were, one of them was like, this is exactly what I want. I like women who look like this and act like this. And I was like, you know
Hell
what?
yeah.
I hope you find your baddie. I also want to give a shout out to two things. Okay, so the first one out of these two being pitched is Lani. I want to give a big shout out to the pitcher William for plugging his LinkedIn at the end of it, saying if you have any internship opportunities in engineering for some reason.
Well, he was like, if you have any reviews about how you think tonight went or want to like tell me how you thought my presentation was, you can do that at my Instagram, and then look at my LinkedIn if you have any internship opportunities. I'd
Amazing.
like to hear about those.
Amazing.
It was quite good.
And I just want to say universal William trait, because shout out to William Nguyen, the #1 LinkedIn influencer. And so that's why I'm just like, wow, universal trait. If you're named William, you have to be a LinkedIn influencer. And then the second thing is the next presentation, which was Ashley.
Ashley, in the middle of the pitch, got up and like changed clothes, like not stripped naked, but like stripped
Right,
a layer of
Like
clothing.
she was wearing clothing, and then she took off the clothing to reveal an outfit underneath. But like the
like
outfit,
a sexier outfit.
yeah, the outfit underneath
Right.
was sexier. So therefore, I'm saying shout out for doing a strip tease in front of everyone.
Yeah, that was a kind of crazy.
She pulled a Sabrina Carpenter.
I mean, have you ever tried that one?
I also want to say this is an unshout out. The presentation ended up with her being doxxed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
no.
he was like,
he
this
put
is
her full
address.
address,
This is
email,
her
Oh,
phone
no.
phone
number,
number.
everything.
That's
like
not
full
safe.
address.
Don't these presentations get vetted beforehand?
I think they do, but that was really confusing.
Yeah.
She did like fully get doxxed, and everyone around us was being like, "Oh my god,
And I
that's a
think
dox."
the presenter, not the presenter, but like the people behind the scenes at ARC was like, "Fuck, take the side off the screen."
Yeah,
Yeah.
Took it
that's-
off the screen
that's
very quickly.
cooked.
Yeah. Yeah. The last thing I want to say is, and luckily is the last thing that happened, and very this isn't Silly Hour. This is very in theme to Silly Hour, which is that Ashley mentioned being really into poetry, and they said come up with a poem verse on the spot, and so I will not say what I think. Well, it starts with a poem. She wrote this. A poem I have not. This night is a lot. And so then Max and I were like, there's so much you can end this with.
Yeah.
But instead she says something like, if you like me after this, we can go home and I'll cook you something with a pot. And I was like, girl, you missed so many good ones.
Yeah.
And so I think it'd be fun for us to try and finish the bar, Silly Hour style.
Hell yeah, let's go.
A poem I have not. This night is a lot.
If you think I'm hot, let's give it a shot.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, let's go home and fraught. That was the first thing that came to mind.
Okay, mine is a poem I have not. This night is a lot. Please give me your number. I promise I'm not a trot.
Oh.
Respect.
Insane. Okay, I think that's where that ends.
All right, thank you. See you next year. Welcome back, guys, to a re-recording of Silly Hour and of this podcast. Woo!
Yay!
Yeah. We love Google in this house. We love OneDrive, and when it works incredibly. Unfortunately, that is a very rare amount of times.
I do not love OneDrive. I've never loved
It's
OneDrive.
a very strained relationship.
Yeah, okay. So I think this is where we're giving the brief explanation because you alluded to at the start, the re-recording of this podcast, how a lot of this has happened before. There's a sense of déjà vu in this room. But essentially, the previous podcast recording, as you stated, has been lost. And so we're doing it all again.
Yippee. Diya, hit us with one of your yippies.
Oh, yippee.
Yeah. Well, you weren't here for the last
Yes,
one.
I was not here for the last
This is new
one.
for you.
I was at work and I couldn't make it to this podcast because I got called in last minute.
Well, we've swapped Big Bill out for
Yeah,
Diya.
Big
Big
Bill
Bill
was
was at the
me.
last one, but he's not able to be at this one.
But
So
I was at work last minute and I was on a break and I checked my phone and I just get text from Marcus being like, I fucking hate OneDrive. I hate OneDrive. What do I do? What do I do? And I was like, okay, good to see the podcast is going well.
Yep. Well, this had nothing to do with the podcast. I didn't realize the podcast had been lost until a couple of days after this happened. Because essentially I've been trying to like get my resume done and like apply for a job and do all that stuff. But essentially my computer was basically refusing to save any files because it was like your OneDrive tool is like, I don't care about my OneDrive. I just want to save this file to my desktop. Why does my OneDrive matter? So essentially I was just like, fuck it. Just how do I unsync my OneDrive? How do I get rid of OneDrive? How do I make it go away? So I found that out. I ticked the box and then as far as I can tell, that pretty much just made everything on my desktop delete on both OneDrive and on my desktop. And that was where I kept the podcast. So, yay.
Hooray. But we're back.
the found footage of that will be
Somewhere.
existing
It's-
in the zeitgeist somewhere.
Yeah, so it's lost media now.
It is lost media. We've made lost media, you guys. Our whole idea here is to not make lost media, and we've made lost media.
Well, this is technically the second episode of the podcast that has become lost media.
yeah, very true.
Because back in the day, a year ago, we filmed a podcast episode that was lost in the ether because just noise.
Well, Pepsi refused to edit and upload that particular podcast.
And also, we went through like leadership handovers
We
during
did.
that period,
Right.
and so because of that, it's been like 2 months since we filmed this. So
Yeah,
it's not
so it all
relevant
got lost. It was a very,
But it was
very chaotic
the
episode.
most chaotic episode
It was the most
ever.
insane episode we've ever recorded.
And we had a guest on as well.
We did.
Who maybe we'll get back at some point.
I would love to
I
have
would
that
love to
guest
have that
back on
guest
at some
back.
point. Very crazy
but
person.
I just want to say what we were talking about, which is Max and I went over like all the fictional characters and people we're attracted to.
Yeah.
And it was
fuck yeah, I
absolutely
love that.
insane.
It was like our celebrity and like character crush like
Venn
Venn diagrams.
It was very hear me out, cake coded.
Yeah, very
Anyways,
much so.
that's besides the point. Today's silly hour.
Oh, we don't get to do a hear me out?
We should do it. We'll do that another time.
We will
Yeah.
do it
We'll
another
do a
time.
silly hour, hear me out, cake at some point.
Oh my god, we get cake?
Yes.
Ooh.
Cool. I love cake. All right.
But Afnan, do you want to introduce us to what silly hour is this week?
Are there some people?
Yeah, there are
There
some
are
people.
some
I think
people
they're
outside the studio.
booking it at 12.
Give me 1 moment
Sorry, at 1.
to talk to them.
When have you booked this until?
Until 1.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Okay.
Do we have to talk to them?
They look like they want to talk to us.
Okay, give me a second.
Mediate Switzerland.
Well, this is going to become lost media as well.
They've left.
Oh,
okay.
fantastic.
Okay, let's
we can just cut that.
Oh no, that's staying in.
Oh, okay.
Over my dead body, are we cutting that? Okay.
Guys,
Marcus says no to censorship.
Marcus can like clickbait this being like, we always started a gang war question.
UNSW tries to shut down our podcast.
Insane.
Okay, we should probably I'm
let's-
assuming they've got it booked for 1, so we should probably
Let's speed this up.
We have 5 minutes.
Huh?
Well, because we need to record the intros and outros, and I need to actually
5
copy the
minutes
files.
is not a lot of time. All right. This week's Silly Hour podcast topic is what made us very, very strange little critters as children.
Lightning round.
Hell yeah. All right, Dia, you go first because you were not here.
Oh my god. Okay, I really struggled to come up with what made me strange because there's a lot of
Are
things
you sure?
No, because there's a lot of things that made me weird, but I
Right.
think it's like the full picture of everything I was like as a little critter to like put it together to be like, yeah, that was a strange little child. But I think the number one thing is also the number one thing that I get autism allegations for. Fun fact, people have autism allegations against me, and they're like the closest people in my life, which is my best friend Anastasia, my partner, shout out, who was the first one to point this out, my dad, who listens to the podcast, and my brother, are the people who were like, hey, Dia, I think you might have autism. And specifically, Marcus brought this up when I told him this story, was like, yeah, I think it's the autism. Was as a kid, okay, this is how I'd play with my toys, because I had a lot of toys. I had a toy room. I was that kid who was like, look at all my Barbies and my Littlest Pet Shops and everything. And I used to have them all out.
Shout out to My Little Pet Shop.
Littlest Pet Shops were cool. And My Little Ponies and everything. And I used to get them all out. And then I used to separate them, like they were all in a school. And I used to separate them into classes and write the roll of every class.
Oh, it's a segregation.
Like, you know, this is 1B. And it'll have, like, you know, Penny the Pony. And, like, you know, Barbie, like, you know, this Barbie,
so
blah,
not
blah, 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 blah.
segregation, just normal.
Yeah, I would make a class roll of all of them.
Not like
They were
class
diverse.
segregation.
Right. Okay, that's good.
And I would also, like, make a seating plan of where they needed to sit. Like, you know, and I was like, oh, they can't sit next to them because then those two have beef. So then I had to, like, really map it out. And then I would, like, put it into, like roles, and then I'd have a teacher for every class. And I would make this list. And that's it. I would not play with them any further. I would just make lists, and that was what playtime was to me.
That is
Okay,
quite an autistic
yeah.
thing to do. I did a similar thing.
I was not
Same,
convinced
same.
until you said that you didn't play with them first.
No, I didn't play with them
That
after.
was what clinched it. for me.
Like playing to me was just making lists. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make lists today.
Guys, please
I was
donate
very similar.
to our page so we can get Dia a official diagnosis.
Those are so expensive.
We are not allowed to use noise funds for diagnosis.
You can do a little bit of it.
We don't have funds for it in the first place.
I will
That's why I'm
say,
asking people to donate.
Afnan, shush, we had 2 minutes.
Yeah.
oh no, I was gonna say the other thing about me making lists and everything is every time I got a new toy, I was like, fuck yeah, I get to do the seating plan again. I get to put them all into classes again. Like, that was like the game to me.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to tell my story. I want to tell Billy's story. Billy said I was allowed to tell his story that he told last week on the podcast because it's so funny. I get like roommate proxy privileges.
Also, like, we heard this story at a dinner party at Passover or something like that. So it was like, this is for real, like, family dinner
This
where
is family
everyone was
dinner
here
lore.
and Billy shared this and we're like, this is insane.
It is very insane. So Billy used to make up fictional countries that had like
Yes.
race wars and all this crazy shit going on, and then he would make up fictional animals that existed in these fictional countries. And one of the fictional animals he made up was called. Actually, I'm going to tell you how it was spelt. It was spelt Siouk, right? Does it, Dia? Since you weren't here last week, would you like to tell us how you think that is said?
Like, Siok?
It's Yukasika.
Yeah.
It's Yukasika. That's how Billy wanted that to be pronounced. And his family was like, what the fuck? And then he also came up with this one that was like called the Charnus wolf, but it was spelt Chinese wolf. Additionally, because of the fact that he used to make up so many like creatures and things for his fictional countries, he once told his mum that it was International Tapir Day that day because he'd like seen it somewhere. And his mum was like, Billy, that's not a real animal, shut the fuck up. And then they turned on the TV that night and it said it was International Tapir Day, and he was like, see, I told you. And I think that's a funnier story than any of the ones that I have come up with combined.
All right.
All of mine can just be boiled down to the fact that I was an autistic kid and no one diagnosed me until I was 19, you know?
All right, we have basically no time. I was a narc and my friends had to give me an intervention. Okay.
No. I want to elaborate on that very quickly, which is that Marcus was such a narc that if anyone broke the rules, he would snitch on them. Like, he was like a professional little snitch. And
Marcus,
so two of
you were
his
a
friends,
snitch?
two of his friends had to pull him aside and be like,
Not close friends either.
yeah, two people had to give him an intervention and be like, hey man, you're a narc and that's why no one likes you.
Come on.
That's crazy. Oh my god.
Afnan, you have 20 seconds.
Okay, I used to eat mud.
Thanks, Afnan.
Hello and welcome to our first segment.
Our final segment.
Our final segment. We record these completely out of order. Welcome to our final segment for this week's episode. We're going over StujoCon again.
Yay.
Yes.
We've already done this once.
We've already done this, but you guys won't get to hear it because Marcus.
Well, we haven't discussed this yet, and yet we already have discussed this.
Yeah,
This is a very confusing podcast recording. We're not filming any of this in order, and so
Yeah.
it's like becoming very confusing what we have and haven't legally talked about, like on the podcast itself.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. The point is today we're going to be speaking about StujoCon, which happened recently at the University of Sydney, hosted by UNSW, which is USyd's paper. And most importantly, we're also going to be talking about some very exciting news that came out of StujoCon about the new Student Media Association, which is really exciting.
Yes.
So, Afnan, if you don't mind, I think I'd like to start by just kind of explaining what StujoCon is.
The stage is all yours.
Awesome. So the reason that I'm kind of the person explaining this is that StujoCon happened during UNSW's like exam period for term 2. I was the only person that was really able to go to most of the days of StujoCon and actually spend some time like with everyone, networking, at most of the events, blah, blah, blah. Poor Marcus was sick. Poor Marcus had exams.
Yeah, we should. I would just say we should probably just clarify. StujoCon is the Student Journalism Conference.
Yes, I'm getting there.
Okay.
I promise.
Okay. Good. Just checking.
So I was there for many days. The StujoCon, as Marcus just said, is the Student Journalism Conference. What that means is that publications from universities from all over the country came together at the University of Sydney to go to panel discussions with amazing journalists, some like workshops. I actually ran one of the workshops, which was awesome. We did like a whole bunch of creative things and some more like panel discussions. Yeah, it was a really great time. We also had some plenaries and interesting things happen. But I guess what was really inspiring for me and what I really enjoyed was just being able to kind of be in a room with so many people who face the same struggles that we all do in in trying to exist as a student media organization at our universities, and trying to just being in a room with people where we all face the same plights and also all have the same goals and the same passion and intention for what we're doing. That felt really awesome, and to meet such amazing people who are so passionate and so creative and so amazing in what they do and are so lovely and so willing to share and learn from each other and do such amazing things like that was just such a privilege and honor. And I had such an incredible time. I met some really close friends that I will now keep forever, and saw some old friends who I met at last year's Student Journalism Conference, and who I've kept in touch with, which has been lovely. So I feel like it was such a privilege to be able to be there. And really importantly, the news to mention is that out of that conference and the 2 plenaries that we had while we were there, it sort of became apparent that we would all really like to have a student media association or union to come out of it, so that we as student journalist bodies can fight against and for the things that we want and the things that are causing us a lot of bother in the space. So many student journalists and student journalism publications, whatever they may be, are facing a lot of censorship, are facing a lot of budget cuts, are facing a lot of issues with like inter-organisation issues with their unis, with their SRCs, whoever runs them, like whatever it is. There's a lot of issues that are facing us in this space, and I feel like there is so much room for this media association to be able to fight back against so many of those issues and really make a huge difference to student publications. I feel like we are so much stronger in numbers and with people backing us up than we are otherwise. So out of that conference came the idea of the Student Media Association. We elected Imogen from Oniswa as the interim president of that association because she actually put the entire conference together, which was no small feat. She did an incredible job, and she knows almost everyone in student media across the country. And so she was kind of the person that we said, yeah, you know everyone, so you're the right person to have in this president's role. Imogen kind of got to select who she wanted to be her right-hand people for this experience. And I was one of the people that she chose, and I feel very lucky to be able to be the vice president, one of three vice presidents, thanks Afnan, of that association, and really be able to bring this endeavor to life that I feel is so important, and I'm really, really passionate about continuing on with. So yeah, that's amazing news, and I again feel so privileged and lucky to work with such a really great and passionate team of people to be able to bring this to you all, and to be able to really fight for what matters to all of us. The team's excellent. As I said, it's a total privilege. So yeah, I'm really excited about the future of student media, and I feel like the Student Journalism Conference was such a good way to make that happen, and to keep the passion alive for all of us.
Yeah, awesome. I think that pretty much covers most of it.
Yeah, for the most part. I just want to say as well, the conference was great, so excellent. Pepsi and I, along with some people from the TERT, from University of Wollongong, hosted a panel which was so much fun, really enjoyable. So many people came and shared such great insights and questions. Oh, Imogen also spoke at that panel as well, about
what
media
was the panel
law.
about?
The panel was about making student media from scratch. It was an excellent time. I really enjoyed being able to bring something that I'm really passionate about to the group, to everyone, and so many people were so interested in what we had to say about it. It was just lovely. Such a good time, and I can't wait for our next one.
Yeah, awesome. Just want to bring up a couple more things. You didn't mention it this time around, but you actually met one of your heroes of journalism.
Did I? Who did I meet?
I've forgotten the name, but she...
Was it the Sydney Morning Herald?
Was it Kate McClement?
Yeah.
Oh, Kate McClement. Yeah, she's awesome. I mean, I didn't get to see her at last year's Student Journalism Conference, although she was there, but I got to go to her presentation this time. She's very funny, very, very skilled, and investigative journalism is such a hard career to be in. You know, knowing so much about Sydney's kind of shady underworld and having to deal with death threats and dealing with all of these criminals and spending so much time putting out these articles trying to get people to listen and to have some justice brought against this person, and they just keep evading whatever it is that you're trying to write about is such a difficult experience. And so when they finally kind of get to the point where they can charge someone with something, I'm sure that must feel so relieving, and she spoke so well to that experience. And as I said, she's just very funny and such a good personality as well, which was really, really lovely. Yeah, it was just an excellent time all up. Everything I went to see was great. Unfortunately, it was the middle of exams, so I spent a few of those days either locked away at one of the UCID libraries when I could find a spare moment, or at home just spending a bit of time working on the presentations I had to do. But for the times that I was able to come in and spend some time with everyone, it was just excellent. So yeah, as I said, really looking forward to the next one.
Yeah. What little bits of it I was able to make it in for were really amazing. I was there for Max's presentation. I was there for one of the plenaries, and just a bit of other stuff, but that was about it, unfortunately. But next year, I definitely hope to make it to a much bigger chunk of it, because what I saw was amazing.
I'm really hoping that we can have it happen again next year, but we'll kind of have to see how things go at UCID. UCID seems to be the only place where it's viable to hold that at the moment, money-wise. Yeah. Hoping that a few other universities will maybe in the future be able to do the same, considering that we have such a success rate with it. But yeah, the vibe was excellent, and everyone was just so looking forward to it, and everything was just excellent. I had such a good time, so I can't recommend it enough to anyone who's interested in journalism to come along to the next one. And thanks to everyone who was there who made the experience so memorable and enjoyable.
Yeah, awesome. I think we can wrap that up there.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to the Make Some Noise podcast. If you enjoyed it, please consider joining the team or by sending us some money. Please, we need it. And don't tell Max I said this, but if you want to send some extra money so we can get Diya and autism diagnosis, that would also be very much appreciated.